On Monday in the opener, the Blue Jays put 9 on the board. They walked off with an 11th inning come-from-behind victory last night. Tonight, they look to sweep away the Orioles, and you'll see it here on Rogers Sportsnet. Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix. And Rance, the Blue Jays are headed for a fourth-place finish, miles from the playoff picture. Where would they be without the duo of Adam Lind and Aaron Hill?
I think we prefer not to think about where this ball club might be without Aaron Hill and Adam Lind, both of them having just tremendous seasons. Of course, Aaron Hill in this summer's All-Star Classic, and both of them have done an awful lot of this year. That's hit the ball out of the ballpark. Aaron Hill, of course, with 33, hitting his 33rd last night. Adam Lind comes into the ball game tonight with 30. Both of them in the top 10 in several categories in the American League. The two that really jump out, both of them top 10 in total bases and in extra base hits.
A year ago, Lind wondered if he had a future in the major leagues, and Aaron Hill was just hoping to play again, and they lead this club. And they're hoping to sweep away the Orioles tonight, but they'll need some help from the starting pitcher. Scott Richmond tonight goes up against Jeremy Guthrie, and Richmond has really scuffled the last little while.
Yes, he has. He, in his last 5 starts, has really had a difficult time. An ERA over that period that exceeds 8. But he has pitched very well in this ballpark against this ball club he's facing tonight, the Orioles.
With more on tonight's ball game, let's take it downstairs and find Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, at this time of year, key plays are still important. I think if we go back to the 8th inning of last night's game, Melvin Mora leads off with a double. Then Ty Wigginton hits a slow roller to third base. Mora remained at second base. Michael Aubrey would then hit into an inning-ending double play after Lou Montañez single, which would have scored that extra run. Probably the difference in the game. Even this late in the season, I still think it's important to execute as best as possible. Baltimore failed to do that, allowed Toronto back in the game, and the end result, a victory for the Blue Jays.
Sam, the Orioles blew a 5-2 lead, and now the Jays have an opportunity to sweep away Baltimore from the Rogers Center here in Toronto. Stay with us. The first pitch is coming your way next on Rogers Sportsnet. Night here at the Rogers Center, and Scott Richmond goes to the hill for the Jays, hoping to break out of a slide that's lasted about 2 months. They'll go up against Baltimore, a team that has lost the 2 in this series, 6 in a row, and sits last in the American League East. No Brian Roberts at the top of the order tonight. He gets a break. Matt Wieters also gets a little time off from the catching duties. He'll be the DH tonight. In his last 9, you see the numbers, an impressive .471 average. Rookie Justin Turner makes just his 3rd major league start at the hot corner, and he bats 6th for Dave Tremblay's Baltimore Orioles. And as mentioned, if you look at the last 8 starts for Scott Richmond, he's 0-5 with an 8.92 ERA. Here, Rance Mullenix is a man desperate for a victory.
He could really use one, if nothing else, just to help his confidence a little bit. I mentioned in the pregame show that he has pitched very well in this ballpark against the Orioles. So maybe tonight is a night he gets things turned around. Richmond, not overpowering. He has a fastball that will top out at 90 miles an hour. He uses all 4 pitches. Outstanding curve. That's his best pitch and change. Occasionally he will mix in that slider as his out pitch. But he has to be very fine and pitch to both sides of the plate effectively.
Felix Pié steps in and swings at the first pitch, pops it up near home plate. Barajas tosses his mask, loses the helmet, makes the catch, and on 1 pitch, Richmond records an out. Let's set up the Blue Jays defensively.
Yeah, Snider in left, Wells in center, Bautista in right, Encarnacion at third, McDonald at short, Hill at second, Overbay at first, Barajas behind the plate, and Scott Richmond doing the pitching this evening for the Jays.
Here is Cesar Izturis, and it's strike 1 delivered by Richmond. Izturis, the ex-Blue Jay, an all-star and Gold Glover with the Dodgers at one time, bats second and fouls this away. That seemed to catch Adrian Johnson. He calls the balls and strikes tonight. And Izturis finds himself behind in the count, 0-2. Here's Richmond into his windup, and he runs it under the elbows, 1-2. Richmond just recently turned 30. This is his first full season in the big leagues. And the ball is hit to right field. Shallow territory. Bautista hauls it in. Quickly 2 away. On Friday in Tampa Bay, Richmond lost his 10th game of the year. Victim of yet another bad inning. He gave up 5 runs in the 3rd. The Rays had their way with Richmond. There's no question there. A single, a triple, a single, a double, a single. And that was it for Richmond. He only went 2+ innings against Tampa Bay. Looking for a better outing tonight here against the Orioles, and he's certainly getting ahead of the batters early on.
Yes, he is. So far, he's been very, very good with his command to both sides. If there's one thing that Scott Richmond, an area where he could help himself, is pitch inside a little bit more than he does.
Look at Wieters goes up and gets that ball, slaps it to right field for a base hit. He went after a bad pitch, or so it seems, and he picks up a single on an 0-2.
They're trying to go up and in, and ends up out over the plate, clearly out of the strike zone, but some excellent hand-eye coordination by Wieters to get on top of that baseball and drive it into right field. He's a good-looking young hitter.
So too is Nick Markakis, though you wouldn't know it recently. He sat out last night's game and has really found it difficult the last little while, hitting just 177 with 1 extra base hit and 5 runs driven in his last 17 games.
Sooner or later, you know that Markakis is going to find his stroke. You just hope it's tomorrow night.
When they're in Cleveland.
Wherever they may be.
He is supposed to be the motor that drives this offense, but he struggled, so 2 of the Orioles. They've lost 6 in a row. Markakis falls behind 1 and 2 here. The key for Richmond, Rance, obviously staying away from the big inning. He has given up at least 5 runs in an inning 5 times this year. Here's the pitch to Markakis. And it's bounced near second. McDonald cuts in front of Hill, throws out Markakis, and a quick and efficient inning for Richmond, giving up just the single hit. Off we go to the bottom half with Jose Bautista leading off. Driving in the game-winning run in the 11th, 100 RBIs now for the first time in his career. He'll bat second tonight. Vernon Wells in the 4 spot, and Encarnacion in the 5 hole have been red hot. Travis Snider was 2 for 3 last night and had 3 RBIs on Monday. He's having a good series. As Jose Bautista swings at the first offering, the PA is there. Bautista's gone, and we get a look at Jeremy Guthrie, who is quite frankly having an awful year.
He has struggled. Got off to a very slow start this season. Some of that due to the fact that he pitched in the World Baseball Classic and really didn't get to pitch much, so he was kind of behind the 8 ball, if you will, at the start of the season. Maybe rushed him just a little bit, and he really struggled early. He leads the league in home runs allowed with 31, but in his last 3 starts, he's given up just 1. So he's done a better job lately of keeping the ball in the ballpark.
Here is Hill, who provided the drama in the bottom of the 11th last night. His double scored Bautista, and the Blue Jays came from behind to defeat the Orioles. And there you see the numbers. He's right at 100 RBIs. A spectacular season for Hill. And this won't surprise you, Rance, but Aaron seemed so unaffected by reaching the 100 RBI plateau, and he made the great point. He said, you can't concern yourself with numbers too much, because if you do, you find yourself pressing. As he grounds that to third. He's thrown out by Justin Turner. He made the interesting point that in this sport, if you are looking ahead and trying to produce good numbers, put up a really good season statistically, you might find yourself pressing, and as you well know, in this sport, that's not a good thing.
No, it isn't. And what Aaron, for me, is saying is that if you start worrying about those numbers, you start concerning yourself with results as opposed to staying focused on the process.
And at this moment, we'd like to welcome all of you who've been watching the Yankees defeat the Angels 3-2. Mariano Rivera just picked up the save. New York clinched a playoff spot last night. They finish up with a win in Anaheim today. And we are in the bottom of the first here, no score. And 2 out with Adam Lind stepping in to face Jeremy Guthrie. I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix. Sam Cosentino is here as well. Bautista, the leadoff hitter, flied out. Aaron Hill has just grounded out to third, and now Adam Lind faces a 3-1 count from right-hander Jeremy Guthrie. In the top of the inning, Scott Richmond faced 4 batters, gave up a 2-out single to Matt Wieters. Here's Lind bouncing it into right field. He's got a base hit.
Three-1 fastball, and Lind drives it hard into right field.
He stands at first. Verdon Wells steps in against Guthrie. And he flies this ball into center field. PA barely has to move. He comes down with it, and that's the inning. Lind with a base hit. He's left. And after 1, no score. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Here at home, and that is Friday against Doug Fister and the Seattle Mariners. If you're going to join us for the weekend set, this might be the night as the Blue Jays and Mariners play a 4-game series. Tonight it's Scott Richmond on the hill, making his 22nd start. Luke Scott, the left-handed batter, comes in and hits the ball high and deep to center field. Back goes Wells. He's on the track. He's at the wall. He makes the catch. He tracked that one down nicely.
Yes, and Luke Scott continues to get good wood on the baseball. Last night, he flew out deep to center field, and again here in his first at bat in this ball game. Sends Vernon Wells right up against the wall again.
Rookie Justin Turner is the batter now. He plays third tonight for the Orioles. You know, Richmond's last victory was way back on the 24th of June when he beat the Cincinnati Reds. giving up just 2 earned runs over 7 innings. He has lost his last 6 decisions. Of course, his season was interrupted with biceps tendonitis after his outing in late June against Tampa Bay. And whether or not that has factored in is up for debate. But as Cito Gaston pointed out after his loss on Friday in Tampa Bay, his problem that night, bad location and no control of the fastball. Swing and a miss from Turner. Since that win against the Reds, here are the numbers, and they're not good. 0-6 with an 8.14. And the opponents are hitting .328. Time to turn it around right here and right tonight against the Baltimore Orioles, the team Richmond defeated for his first major league win. That was actually a complete game, 6-inning rain shortened affair at the end of last season. Here's the payoff. Low and away, ball 4. Turner draws a walk with 1 out.
Yeah, for Scott Richmond, looking ahead in the future, maybe even into spring training of next year, he might be more effective and better suited to pitch out of the bullpen, especially, come in and get out a tough right-handed hitter. Right-handers this season hitting just .212 against him. Left-handers, it jumps all the way to .312. So clearly he has a lot of trouble with left-handed hitters, but is very effective against right-handers, and that might be a role that he would fit well in the future.
Here's Michael Aubrey choking up on the bat, stepping away from the pitch 1-1. So kind of like a Brian Talent role, in that he goes back into the bullpen, and perhaps when necessary they try and stretch him out if he needs to slip into the rotation here or there. Runner goes from first, but it's fouled away by Aubrey. Because if you think of what's coming next season, Sean Markham should be ready for opening day. Jesse Litch and Dustin McGowan should return sometime around the middle of the season. At some point, some of the starters we've seen this year may get squeezed out of their jobs.
You have to figure if Markham is back in spring training and is able to start the season in the rotation, that what you're looking at right now, that's probably a lock. Of course, Halladay, Markham, Romero, and then the 2 other spots are, assuming that Litch is not ready to go and neither is McGowan, the 2 other spots are going to be determined by whoever performs the best in spring training.
1-2 here. 1 away, 2nd inning. And once again, Richmond works Aubrey inside. It's 2-2. Aubrey went 2 for 5 with a pair of doubles and 2 runs scored last night. Trying to make an impression on Dave Tremblay and the Orioles management in the latter part of this year. Richmond throws over quickly. Turner dives back.
And Turner was trying to increase his lead at first base, so he looked like maybe trying to get a jump and run on the 2-2 pitch. Had his right foot well out on the turf.
breaking ball hit deep to center field. Wells in a full sprint. He is back there, and it is gone. A home run from Michael Aubrey. The Orioles jump on top 2-0. Aubrey has his third big league home run. He had 2 with Cleveland last year. This is first of the season with the Baltimore Orioles.
He gets a breaking ball to his liking, and not known for his power, more of a defensive first baseman. But he gave this ball a pretty good ride, probably 415, 420 feet.
And he hit that one to dead central. So Baltimore has the lead. And Aubrey's had a good series. As mentioned, 2 doubles last night. Came up with a base hit in the opener. Here's Moeller now. He flies it to left field. There's Travis Snider, and that's out number 2. Well, home runs have been a problem for Richmond, though he wasn't around very long in his last outing in Tampa Bay. 2 starts ago in Detroit, he gave up 3 long balls. He gave up a pair of shots in Texas in his first start this month. Over the course of the year, he's allowed 23 home runs. Those aren't quite Jeremy Guthrie numbers. Guthrie, the opposing starter tonight, has allowed 31 homers this season. Here's Robert Andino. He slaps it foul. They particularly hurt, don't they, Rents, when you walk the batter ahead of the man who hits it out. And that was the case here.
Especially a right-handed hitter who he has been very effective against this year. And I don't know if he and the pitching coach Brad Arnsberg have worked on it and are currently working on it, but his fastball is basically a 4-seam fastball that doesn't move. It doesn't appear that he cuts it or he sinks it. And doesn't have to do both, but if he just could throw a 2-seamer that would sink and had movement, would make that fastball better, and there'd be a little bit more room for error with it. You wouldn't have to be quite so pinpoint perfect.
Two and two to the number 9 hitter Andino. 2 gone here in the second inning. 2-0 Baltimore. That's a way outside. Andino refuses to chase it, and it's a full count. See, that's the kind of pitch you would never see Roy Halladay throw. He throws nothing straight.
No, this fastball, obviously, he throws a cutter and a sinker. And he does have excellent command, but when the ball has late movement, you'll get away a little more often with a mistake than you will if it's just straight.
All 4 down low. He's walked 2 in the inning. And here it's the number 9 hitter getting a free pass. So Felix P.A. will bat with a man on. PA popped up the first pitch he saw in the first. His second time up here against Richmond. He starts him with a breaking ball. His last 31 games, PA has managed a .302 average with 16 RBIs. pitch is there. It's strike one. In fact, he's having a good series now. 3 for 8 with 3 runs driven in. So PA's been a factor, even though the Orioles have lost the first 2. Showed some pretty good range the other night, too, in center field, robbing John McDonald. 2 out, man on first, and the breaking ball is high. So the Orioles are really forcing Richmond to throw a lot of pitches here in the second inning. Here's Richmond in the windup. PA steps aside, 3-2. Another full count here.
And possibly could turn out to be a big pitch to count 3-2 now. Andino will be running off of first base, and PA with his speed. If he bounces the ball slowly towards a hole or up the middle, you know, you've now lost the force out at second base. You could possibly beat it out at first base for an infield hit, maybe keep the inning alive.
A 30 pitch inning is extended when PA fouls that away. At first, Lyle Overbay has backed off the bag. Andino will get a jump. As Richmond sets, here comes. And it's lifted toward McDonald. He makes the grab and retires PA. And gives his pitcher a helping hand. Richmond gives up a home run. A 2-run shot to Michael Aubrey. And Baltimore has a 2-0 lead. Tonight's game, a lucky contestant wins a 52-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with ultra brilliant full array LED backlight and Blu-ray disc player. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To enter, please visit the website hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. And this might be the man to do it against. Jeremy Guthrie has given up 31 home runs this season. In fact, the Orioles as a team have allowed 199 of them. That leads the major leagues by 2 over the Milwaukee Brewers and leads the American League by 24 over the Los Angeles Angels. And as it happens, Edwin Encarnacion has been hitting them in bunches lately. He had a 2-home run game last night. 2 balls and 2 strikes for the Blue Jays third baseman. Guthrie, the pitch, hits softly toward the gap. And over to get it, PA. He cuts it off, and it gets under his glove. Encarnacion now touches the bag at second, heads for third, and he's got a triple.
A nice job of hitting by Encarnacion. It's a pretty good breaking ball in a pretty good spot, but he keeps his hands back and just throws the barrel at the baseball and drives it into right center. And I'm not sure what PA was doing there, trying to barehand the baseball. He'd been an easier play to use his glove hand. Either way, it gets past him, and Encarnacion with a triple.
Well, they'll charge PA with an error there. It's a double for Encarnacion. He advances to third on the error to the center fielder. And Lyle Overbay is the batter now. Overbay has hits in his last 7 starts. He was 0 for 2 in last night's game, coming in as a pinch hitter. He entered in the 9th and struck out in place of Kevin Millar. You mentioned at the beginning of the game that Guthrie started the season slowly. You're not kidding. He started March slowly. His numbers with the United States team at the World Baseball Classic were awful. 0-2 with a 14.73 ERA in his 2 games pitched for the United States, as Overbay hits this to left field, and it is off the wall. Played by Scott. Encarnacion now trots into home. A double for Overbay, and the Blue Jays cut the lead to 1.
And Overbay, when he's at his best, he's gap to gap. And he gives this ball a ride to left center off the wall.
Well, the Jays get 1 back, and now Rod Barajas hoping for a knock. He's 0 for his last 16 at the plate. Barajas takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Tonight he is making his 103rd start of the year behind home.
You know, the average is down. Of course, it's really fell off lately because of the slump. But you look at 18 home runs, 66 RBIs. So the Jays have gotten good production out of Rod Barajas.
He goes around 2-2.
And if he can, find his stroke, has a chance to finish up with 20 and 70 or better RBIs, 20 home runs, 70 plus RBIs. It'd be a nice season, especially considering he's not a guy that catches 140, 145 games.
Good production, as you mentioned, and some key home runs, especially pinch hit home runs. He's got a pair of them this year. One, he came in the 9th in late August against Tampa Bay and in a 2-1 game hit a solo shot off J.P. Howell. The Blue Jays won in the bottom of the inning on a wild pitch, and then a game tying shot in Philadelphia as he pops this one up near first. Here's Andino. He's got it, 1 away. So Overbay ponders his situation over at second base. And Travis Snider is the batter. He had himself a 2 for 3 last night with a pair of singles, a couple of walks. In the opener on Monday, 3 RBIs. This is turning into a nice series for Snider. Geared up here to face Jeremy Guthrie. Here's the first pitch, and he swings and fouls it away. Overbay at second. After his double, the Jays have put together a couple of 2-baggers to produce their first run. And the 0-1 pitch is in. It's 0-2 now on Snider. Guthrie is the ace of the staff for the Baltimore Orioles, though his numbers do not look it. 10 wins, 15 losses. The ERA is over 5. Manager Dave Tremblay was asked just the other day by one of the reporters to assess Guthrie's season, and he basically hunched his shoulders and said, just look at his numbers. They're awful. What do you want me to say? He sets, checks Overbay, comes with a 2-2 pitch, and it's popped up. But this ball drifts over the Blue Jays dugout and out of play.
Yeah, Travis Snider 2-2 after back-to-back breaking balls, trying to protect a little bit. Does a nice job to fight off a tough pitch. It still appears at times that Travis Snider doesn't get started soon enough. He doesn't load up soon enough, and that's been addressed on a number of occasions, but it still looks like, to me, he's a little late getting loaded up.
I've heard the critique, Rance, and I don't know who it came from, that he's too much hands and not enough body. Would you agree with that?
He could especially use his lower half better than he does. And he's probably never had to really do that because he's such a strong kid that he could get away with it. But at this level, he may need to use his legs a little more to generate more bat speed.
Well, he's worked at 3-2 here. One away, Overbay at second base. 2-1 in favor of the Orioles. And Guthrie sets. Here he comes with a payoff pitch. And he gets a swing from Snider, it goes down on strikes. And so he is the inning's second out.
That last strikeout's just a situation where 3-2, Travis Snider felt he was going to get a fastball, geared up for it, didn't get it, and was unable to check his swing on the curveball, which was down.
That brings up John McDonald.
So if you're Travis Snider, just put that away in your mind and remember the next time you get in a 3-2 situation what Guthrie threw you.
The 1-0 pitch Fastball away. McDonald continues to start at short in place of Marcos Scudero. He homered on Monday. Singled in the ninth last night. Hits this one weakly to third. And Turner cuts in front of the shortstop and throws him out. And that ends the inning. A pair of doubles to lead off the second for the Blue Jays. They've cut the lead to 2-1. You will receive a $50 SMS discount coupon from Rogers. Use that coupon toward the purchase of a new BlackBerry Bold or Curve 8900 smartphone from Rogers at any wireless Wave T-Booth retail location throughout Canada. It's another nice evening here in Toronto as the Blue Jays and Orioles wrap up their three-game series. I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mulliniks and Sam Cosentino. It's Baltimore 2, the Blue Jays 1, third inning of play, and here is Cesar Torres. Strike one from Scott Richmond. Torres fouls that one away. He missed a month of time after some surgery following appendicitis. It gave Robert Andino, who's playing second base for the Orioles tonight, a chance to play a whole bunch of games in the middle of the summer at short as he waves at that curveball, and Richmond has his first strikeout of the night.
And possibly the best curveball he's thrown so far this evening. This was a good one, had good tight rotation, and the bottom just fell out of it, and he gets the swinging strikeout.
Matt Wieters is the hitter, riding a 6-game hit streak. He's hit safely, in fact, in 41 of his last 52 games. Takes a slight hack there. The count now 1-1. Here's Richmond. He jams him, lofts it foul, and nobody can get to it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Richmond started so well, jumped out to a 4-0 record for the surprising Blue Jays in the month of April. In fact, he was the rookie pitcher of the month. And that was a head-turning month for this club. They found themselves in first in their division. Came out of spring training with really little hope of competing. And you jumped out to that lead, held a 3.5 game lead by the middle part of May. As he strikes out Wieters, down he goes looking. So after giving up the home run and walking 2 in the second, he comes back here in the third and strikes out the first 2.
The location has been better in this inning, and the results are much different for Scott Richmond.
One strike on Nick Markakis. Rance, you're of the opinion that Richmond needs to perhaps cut his fastball a little or try and put a little sink on a 2-seamer. Is that something that you can develop over the course of the year? Or at this point, is it best saved for an off-season project?
That's definitely something that you can work on and develop as the season progresses. And it's possible that maybe he has tried to do that in the past, is not comfortable with it, or it created some arm problems for him.
The 2-1. Grounded to right field, a base hit for Markakis. And with that, we send it downstairs to bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, a bit of a checkered pass between Melvin Mora and manager Dave Tremblay. And after last night's mistake that arguably cost the Orioles the game, there was some speculation as to whether or not he was benched for tonight's game. I asked Dave Tremblay before the game. He said it was a situation where he was in the lineup and a late scratch due to some fatigued legs, having played in the turf here the last couple of days. So Mora originally in the lineup, but not in it, hitting 5th in his normal spot in the first 2 games here tonight.
And that mistake you speak of, an 8th inning double, he led off the inning with a double as Richmond deals here with Luke Scott. The next batter, Ty Wigginton, the DH, grounded a ball to third that forced Encarnacion to come in on the baseball, but for some reason Mora did not move from second to third on the play. Montañez singled. He was the next batter up. And from there, Mora only advanced to third, and then the inning ended for the Orioles on a double play ball from the next batter, Aubrey. So, you know, Sam makes a great point. That would have been a very important run if they'd been able to cash it in the 8th. Richmond with a 1-1.
Apparently his
curveball.
Excuse me, Jamie. Apparently his legs were tired. Couldn't run another 90 feet to third base, I guess.
I recall about a month or 2 ago that Mora, who was benched for a game by manager Dave Tremblay, had, shall we say, unneighborly things to say about him in a post-game tirade.
This new turf also that the Jays play on here at Rogers Center is not that hard on your legs. I mean, obviously at this point in the season, players are a little tired to begin with, but you know, a couple of days on this turf is not going to take that much out of you.
Markakis breaks from first. Here's the 3-2 pitch, inside, ball 4. And what started as a pretty nice inning for Richmond after striking out the first 2 has now extended after the base hit to Markakis. Now a walk from Luke Scott.
And not necessarily a bad thing for Scott Richmond to pitch very carefully to Scott. He does have a lot of power, and he has had a lot of success against the Blue Jays with a right-hander on deck. And as we spoke about earlier in the ball game, Scott Richmond has pitched very effectively against right-handers this season. So don't give in to Scott and go after the right-hander Turner.
Limited experience here too. This is just his 8th game in the major leagues, 3rd start. Turner made his big league debut September 8th in Boston. Had a good year at AAA Norfolk. Hit over 300 in 108 games. That comes back across the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. He was one of the players acquired from Cincinnati in the Ramon Hernandez deal. Turner originally a 7th round pick of the Reds just 3 years ago. Two on for the Orioles. A 1-1 pitch. Here it comes. Swing and a miss. And the swing is late. It's 1-2.
This is where, so far tonight, on 3 or 4 occasions, where Scott Richmond's had some trouble, where he's gotten ahead in the count, 1-2, but hasn't been able to finish a hitter off and ran the count back full on a couple of occasions. He's ended up walking a hitter.
Is he nibbling too much?
Could be. Just trying to be a little too fine.
Runners go. Slap right back to Richmond. He'll walk it over to first and get Turner. 2 left by the Orioles. And after 2.5, it's Baltimore by 1. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sports Network. Toronto, it's the Orioles on top 2-1. And for the Blue Jays, they're 1, 2, and 3 hitters to face Jeremy Guthrie, beginning with Jose Bautista, who squares, and it's a strike. You've often seen that name pronounced Batista, but Jose prefers the pronunciation Bautista, and that's why we go with it. 1 ball and 1 strike. It's hard to say if this man will be with the Blue Jays next year. He's eligible for arbitration at the end of the year. If they can afford him, he's a good player to have around because he can play a number of different positions. 2-2. Guthrie kicks and deals, and it's laced to center field. PA on the run. He turns and plays the ball off the wall. Bautista doubles to lead off the Jays' third.
And after struggling for quite some time, Bautista starting to swing the bat better. And there's just not a lot of room for error. Trying to get that ball just off the plate. Missed his spot by inches. And the result, the ball's hit right off the top of the wall in center field.
Back is Aaron Hill, 0 for 1. With the tying run in scoring position. 100 runs driven in by Hill this year. In fact, he is the subject of our Rogers Fast Fact, brought to you by Canada's fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other. Hill and Lind are the 7th teammates in Blue Jay history with at least 30 doubles, at least 30 home runs, and at least 100 RBIs. He grounds to the left side. Bautista had to wait to see the ball through. And so he stops at third. A single for Hill. First and third for the Blue Jays. Nobody out.
The second time tonight that Aaron Hill's hit the ball hard. The first time hit the ball hard right to the third baseman. Here just past the shortstop in the hole. And good base running by Bautista, because the ball's hit to the left side with less than 2 outs. In this case, nobody out. You want to make the ball go through before you move over to third.
That brings up Lind, who has a 6 RBI lead on Hill. Lind with 106. He's got the tying run 90 feet away. Strike one. The last Blue Jay duo to have 30 doubles, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. You've got to go back 6 years. Carlos Delgado and Vernon Wells in the 03 season. Lind hits this one short left field. Scott comes a long way and makes the catch. The very first pair to do it in Blue Jay history was Jesse Barfield and George Bell in the '86 season. Bell had 31 home runs that year. Jesse Barfield had 40. And that was quite a year Wells had. He steps into the box now. Back in '03, 33 home runs, 49 doubles that year, and 117 RBIs. This team needs that kind of production again next year, or something close to it. Ball one. He's been red hot lately. Since September the 6th, Vernon leads the big leagues with a .421 average over a stretch of 16 games. Ball two. Ball three. There's proof from Scott Carson's bin of statistics. 3-0 here. And now ball four, works a walk out of it. And that loads the bases for Edwin Encarnacion. Well, the Jays have 3 grand slams this year. The man at the plate is as good a bet as anybody right now to hit one out against a pitcher who gives up the home run ball frequently. 1-0. Encarnacion last night with home runs number 10 and 11 on the year. Number 5 and 6 as a Blue Jay. The 1-0 pitch And it's away, ball 2, and now Chad Mulder feels he needs to come out and talk to Guthrie. Clearly Encarnacion's in the driver's seat here as we once again bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, generally the feeling Cito Gaston has about Encarnacion is that he's finally catching his stride, he's healthy and feeling comfortable here. The one thing Cito Gaston said to him as soon as he was traded over from Cincinnati is that you have to understand that in the American League they're going to pitch you different. You're going to see breaking balls and fastball counts, and you have to adjust to that. It seems to me now that Encarnacion is adjusting to the style of pitching here in the American League.
Certainly does, as the 2-0 pitch is low, ball 3, and he made that very clear about a week or two after he got over here in a conversation with me and Pat Tabler, saying, boy, I can't believe the number of breaking balls I'm seeing in this league. Here comes a 3-0, bases loaded, and he takes for strike 1.
In particular in this league, the key point that Sam made is in fastball counts they'll throw you a breaking ball, and that can really mess you up mentally.
Hits this one sky high center field. PA turns his back. He's at the wall, bracing for that wall, and he comes down with a long fly as Bautista scampers home to tie the game. Boy, he put a charge in that one. Ends up with an RBI on the sacrifice fly to center field.
Encarnacion just got under this ball enough. A great swing. He was right on it, but just got under it. And that allowed the ball to stay in the ballpark. You see PA putting that left hand out. And you see Encarnacion's reaction. He knows all he had to do was just level that one off a bit more, and he had himself a grand slam.
Overbay doubled in a run in his last at bat. Tie game at 2 now, and he grounds it to first base. Guthrie covers, takes the feed, and that's the inning. The Blue Jays leave a pair, but they score once and tie it at 2. Jersey sale, 50% off jackets and fleeces as well. For more information, you can check out jaysshop.ca. For tickets, pick them up at the website bluejays.com. Most Rogers Plus locations have them as well. We've got a 2-2 game here in Baltimore as they wrap up this series. The Jays will see the Orioles one more time. They'll be down there at Camden Yards on Friday the 2nd of October for the last 3 games of the year. Tomorrow the Mariners roll into town, and King Felix hits the hill for Seattle as Aubrey flies to left. He'll be opposed by Ricky Romero tonight, and we'll have that game for you at 7 Eastern time, 4 Pacific. Here's Chad Moeller, who started the year as Greg Zaun's backup, was designated for assignment when they summoned Matt Wieters from AAA. And then was essentially recalled when the Orioles traded Zaun to Tampa Bay. One and one. And tonight we wish a happy belated 87th birthday to Eileen McDonald. She's watching in Ottawa. And a happy 100th to Leora Smith, who's checking in from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. "100 years, that's a good life lived." Richmond with a 1-2 fastball, low and outside. Well, let's see where this at bat goes. You made the comment that he gets 1-2 on so many hitters and then finds himself in a full count situation.
And the more pitches that a hitter sees, the more likely he is to time something well.
Already 75 pitches thrown. And just one out in the fourth. Richmond kicks. The 3-2 is low. And after getting ahead of the Orioles' backup catcher, he ends up walking him. That will certainly make Cito Gaston uneasy, Rance.
It makes everybody a little bit uneasy because, you know, it's a situation where you've got Chad Moeller at the plate. We're in the fourth inning of the ball game, one out, nobody aboard. You definitely want to make him earn his way aboard, make him hit his way to first base.
Nothing against Chad Moeller, but he's a career .224 hitter as this is bounced to second. Quickly McDonald to second. Hill, the relay is late, and Dino is on a fielder's choice.
Very nice play by John McDonald. This was a difficult chance. Had to take a short hop with a lot of top spin, and tremendous effort by Hill to complete the double play with the runner Moeller all over him at second base, still able to get off a throw. But Andino, who runs well, able to beat the relay at first base.
Here comes Felix P.A. Hit at the belt, 1-0. PA is 0 for 2. Popping out in the first. He lined to short in the second inning. Runner at first is Robert Andino. Tied at 2. And there's ball 2. There's a base hit, and the inning continues as PA gets on. And the inning for Scott Richmond gets a little bit longer.
It's something that goes unnoticed, but Bautista charged the ball very hard in right field. He's very good hustle, getting to it quickly and preventing Andino from going first to third. Doesn't show up anywhere in the stats, but it's a good hustle by the right fielder.
This one is popped up and playable for Hill. He makes the catch, and the side is retired. No further damage. They lead 2-2 is the score. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Aquos LED. The evolution of LCD TV continues. The nights of baseball start to dwindle here in Toronto. Only 4 home games remain after this one, as the Blue Jays and Orioles are deadlocked at 2 in the bottom of the 4th inning. And Rod Barajas is the catcher. He's 0 for 1. Jeremy Guthrie on the hill, 10-15 on the year. He's allowed 2 runs on 5 Blue Jay hits.
You know, Barajas is 4th in the American League in RBIs for catchers, trailing Suzuki with 76, Posada with 71. And what's amazing is Joe Mauer, with the year he is having, 67 RBIs.
Line to short, and he's gone.
You would almost have to believe he'd be up around 90 or 100.
You would, but remember, he missed a good portion of the start of the year after surgery in the offseason. He's kind of making up for lost time, but you're right.
The way they...
And won't it be interesting, Rance, to see who ends up winning the American League's Most Valuable Player award, because you can throw 3 or 4 players in the mix easily, maybe 5 or 6, and Mauer's right there. There's a ground ball to short, and that right through the wickets. Well, Esturras went down and came up with a whole lot of nothing. And so they'll charge him with an error, put Snider at first base with 1 out.
It's just a very routine play. Esturras just didn't stay down. He came up on the ball, and it went, not even sure he even got leather on it. It went right between his legs. And most certainly you don't see that very often from a major league shortstop, much less a former Gold Glove winner. The MVP, you'd have to throw Teixeira in there.
No question.
I think Jason Bay would have to get some consideration.
Derek Jeter, perhaps. There's the balk charged to Guthrie, so Snider makes the slow trot to second base.
Well, Guthrie started to throw to first base, stopped, and then went ahead and flipped it over there, hoping, well, maybe they didn't see it.
Oops. And now McDonald showing bunt. He loops this to center field, and it drops for a base hit. Snider comes hustling around third. PA, the long throw, and the Blue Jays take advantage of the air. As Snider comes home, they lead it 3-2.
And this has really, at this point, turned into an ugly inning for the Orioles. The air by the shortstop, then the balk to move Snider to second base, and then a great read by Snider, realizing this is going to fall for a base hit, and then another mistake by PA trying to throw him out at the plate, overthrows the cutoff man, and that allowed John McDonald to move into scoring position. So some bad baseball right here in the bottom of the fourth.
Jose Bautista now, who smoked the ball off the wall in center field for a double in the third. Takes ball one from Jeremy Guthrie. McDonald replaces Snider at second. And that one locks up Bautista. It's 1-1. You spoke of Bautista's defensive capabilities last night and mollifying the running game from right field, and I think you led off by saying it's the kind of thing that goes unnoticed. I know Cito Gaston noticed it last night. He was awfully impressed with Bautista's ability as McDonald breaks from the bag. It's smoked into center field, and McDonald comes around with a fourth Blue Jay run, and Bautista's got the Jets on. There he goes. He hits second, off to third. The relay is wide of the bag, and he's got himself a triple.
One too many breaking balls. This is about the fourth breaking ball in this at bat. It stays up just a little bit, but a nice adjustment by Bautista, drives it hard into the gap, and he will surprise you. He's a step faster than you would think he is. Runs well and easily into third base with a triple. Even if the relay is right on the money, he's going to be safe, no problem.
Guys, Cito Gaston really feels that Bautista has benefited from being able to play every day. If you look at what he's done in the series, 5 for 11 on base, 7 of his 13 plate appearances, scored a couple of runs and driven in a couple, and two of the harder parts of the cycle out of the way tonight.
Sure enough, as the ball is flied to right field, he tags and heads home as Hill drives in a run. He now has 101 RBIs on the year. Gets it done with a sacrifice fly, and it's 5-2 for the Jays.
And give the Jays credit. The poor defensive play, mental mistakes by the Orioles in this inning allowed the Blue Jays to put some runs on the scoreboard, and they've done a nice job of taking advantage of the opportunity here in the fourth.
Longman Brian Bass is up and warming. This is popped into shallow left field. 3 men go out. Scott calls them off, makes the catch, and ends the inning. But the Blue Jays score 3 and have a 5-2 lead on Baltimore. comfort zone and enjoying the big comfy chairs tonight, representatives of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, courtesy of TD Canada Trust. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is Jamie Campbell with Rance Mulliniks and Sam Cosentino. A 3-run fourth for the Blue Jays. They have handed a lead to Scott Richmond. And if he can get through this fifth inning without damage, he'll be the pitcher of record. But this is yanked high and deep to right field. Matt Wieters tattoos this thing. My goodness. That is a monster shot, and the Orioles get one back. It has been a while, Rance, since we have seen a blast that high and that deep to right field.
Yeah, Matt Wieters just continues to impress. And as you said, Jamie, this ball right here hit a long way. Hitting just to the right of the Paul Beeston sign up there.
On the double of excellence.
I thought for a moment it might make the top deck. And it didn't miss by much. And that's the second time tonight from the left side. He's taken a fastball up. That one wasn't quite as high in his first at bat, and had no problem getting on top of it and driving the baseball.
There must be some people in that luxury suite just above the second level behind the foul pole and right as Markakis grounds this to Hill, who saw the flight of the ball and thought, now this thing's not going to end up in here, is it? As you see Beeston honored there in the level of excellence because it hit that ribbon board there. And so Wieters cashes in. What a good looking prospect. You know, the reports on him, I guess, were right. He's been tabbed as a future superstar for some time now. Here now Luke Scott. In the last week of May, Scott hit .444 with 6 home runs and 14 RBIs. That was 1 week of play. Not surprisingly, he was named the American League Player of the Week. As Richmond deals, it's low, 1-1. There's Casey Jansen. He starts to warm up now in the pen. Richmond kicks. There's the breaking ball. He's got strike 2 on Scott. Little tapper to McDonald. He throws out Scott. 2 gone. There is little question, Ranch, that if you're to succeed in this division and have any chance at making the postseason, and this of course is a battle between 4th and 5th place teams, you have to win most of the games against the upper class, the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, to a degree Tampa Bay, who was officially eliminated from the race, and the Blue Jays and Orioles just have not been able to do that. Here are their records within the American League East this year. The Yankees have already clinched a playoff spot. Tampa Bay eliminated last night. But the battle every single year is within the division.
And that is probably as much a reflection of the fact that the Jays have had to use a lot of rookies in that starting rotation this year, and those ball clubs, especially the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, they don't get themselves out, going out of the strike zone very often. They make you throw strikes. They adjust very quickly, and if you're a young pitcher, they can be very, very tough on you.
Is that why Scott Richmond has had such a difficult time the last little while? He, for a while, was unbeatable in the early going deep into games, 6-7 innings, stringing together a bunch of victories, and hasn't won since June 24th. Is that a league-wide adjustment that's been made? And as he pops it up, we'll address that a little later. In comes Overbay. Turner's gone. The Orioles get one on a monster shot by Matt Wieters, but the Blue Jays hold a 2-run lead. It's 5-3 Toronto, and you're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Last night, Mark Hendrickson on the hill, Edwin Encarnacion, back-to-back shots between he and Aaron Hill. That was the third inning. On to the eighth with a man on base, and Encarnacion does it again, his sixth as a J, 11th of the year. Really starting to get it comfortable now with American League pitching, and he is the subject of this Rogers Fast Fact, brought to you by Canada's fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other. 5 home runs in September for Encarnacion, having a very good month, and he will hit behind Vernon Wells here in the 5th inning. 5-3 Toronto. Jeremy Guthrie twirls for the Orioles. This ball is flied to center by Wells. BA puts it away. One gone, excuse me. And so here comes Encarnacion, who continues with a fine night tonight, a double and a run scored in the second. He actually advanced to third on an error by center fielder PA on that double, and then he sacrificed Bautista home in the third and picked up an RBI. Back to that discussion. Do you see a league-wide adjustment being made to Scott Richmond in the last part of this year?
The league makes adjustments to everybody, and they most certainly have made adjustments to Scott Richmond. But at the same time, you have to be able to realize the adjustments that hitters are making, and then you in turn readjust. That's basically what you have to do. And still, if you make quality pitches, you're still going to have success. Like Cito Gaston said, he's just had too many mistakes in the strike zone for Scott Richmond over the last couple of months.
Guthrie with the 3-1 pitch into center field, and this is an easy play for PA. is trailing this game 5-3. Guthrie has not yet given up a home run. As he settles in to face Lyle Overbay. That's slashed foul. No American League pitcher has given up the home runs that Guthrie has the last 2 years, in fact. $55 of them all told in the last 2 seasons entering tonight. Here's the pitch down low, 1-1. Overbay lines it to left, and that ball is picked by the left fielder Scott. So he takes it away from Overbay, and Guthrie gets a 1-2-3 pitch. Little Rick Bossetti basket catch right there. And he departs up 5-3, 95 pitches thrown, and 4 walks issued. One of them to Justin Turner. He came in the second inning on the Aubrey home run, so he'll watch from here on in. Casey Jansen then takes the mound, and we haven't seen Jansen in a while. He last pitched in New York a week ago tonight in that second game of a 2-game set. And he gears up for the Orioles here. Bottom of the order with Aubrey, Moeller, and Andino coming up. Jansen has allowed 6 earned runs in his last 10 1/3. As he deals a strike here to Aubrey. And whether it's a left-handed hitter or a right-handed hitter, he hasn't been that successful. Lefties like Aubrey are hitting .325. Right-handers are successful at a .358 clip. So here's yet another pitcher who's hoping to make a favorable impression heading into the offseason.
You wonder if possibly Casey Jansen is healthy, not experiencing any arm problems, of course, coming off surgery. If he has regained all of his arm strength, because they are two different things. You know, one, first of all, you have to be healthy, and clearly he is, not experiencing any problems with his arm. But then you have to get the strength back, and I just wonder if Casey Jansen's not quite all the way back yet from that injury.
It first occurred when, on the 18th of March, 2008, right in the middle of spring training, it was discovered that he had a torn right labrum and he was going to miss all of last year. Came back this year, and then one day after the year-long anniversary, as he grounds to second, Hill throws out Aubrey. Jansen was pitching in a spring game against the Yankees, felt a little tightness in his right shoulder and was removed in the first inning, and so he did not start the year with the big club. The injuries have been recurring the last little while. When he came back to the team, he was recalled from the minor leagues on May 22nd. He made 5 starts between Single-A and Double-A and got his first start in the big league since July of '06 against Atlanta May 23rd. He went 6 innings in that game and gave up 3 earned runs, a quality start, though he took the loss. Here he gets a ground ball, and out at first is Moeller. If you ask Casey Jansen, he hopes to rediscover the magic of '07 when he pitched entirely out of the bullpen, had a fabulous ERA at 2.35, and was really the go-to guy in the 8th inning. 7th and 8th inning, you needed 3 outs. You could rely on Casey Jansen.
He was outstanding, and you could always rely on him to come in, make a lot of quality pitches, and throw strikes. He didn't pitch himself into trouble. But right now is a little inconsistent. The fastball doesn't always seem to have that little extra pop on it, and the breaking pitch, in particular that slider, looks a little flat at times and not real sharp.
That one he just threw there certainly fooled Robert Andino. 1-1 and 2 out in the 6th inning. He's got that patented twirl of the baseball as he looks for his grip, throws the pitch inside. 2-1. Casey made his big league debut against these Orioles in April of '06. There was a crowd of around 21,000 here that day, and he said the only voice he remembers hearing was that of his dad, Jack. As that is grounded to third. And Encarnacion waits on the ball, and Overbay can't pick it at first. Charge Encarnacion with an error and put Andino at first base safely.
Again, you see Encarnacion plants, and then he gets under the ball just a little bit, and that causes it to sink. And Overbay with a tough chance to try to pick this one out of the dirt on that short hop. 9 times out of 10, Overbay will make that play, but a tough chance.
Well, let's see if Jansen can pick them up here as he faces Felix P.A.
Encarnacion has had a little bit of trouble throwing, and we've seen that, but it's not lack of arm strength. It appears to just be maybe some footwork and mechanics that, you know, with some work could improve.
Well, if anybody can sort him out, it will be Brian Butterfield, who does a tremendous job with the infielders here in Toronto. Here's Casey, who sets and fires, gets a grounder from PA. It's foul. The Blue Jays are assured of a series win because they won the first 2, and it will be their first series victory in a month. The last time they won a series was after defeating the Los Angeles Angels on August the 23rd. to take it 2-1. Grounded to first at Overbay. Picks up the third baseman Encarnacion with that gem. Snags the ball, touches the bag, and Jansen will wait for him to say thanks so much.
And Lyle Overbay, an outstanding defensive first baseman, and another fine play to get Casey Jansen out of the inning.
Home run, one lucky contestant wins a 40-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with LED backlight. The innovators of LCD TV now bring you their best picture yet. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To enter and find out more, please check the website hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. Here is Rod Barajas. His last home run came in Detroit last week off Edwin Jackson. Number 18 on the year for the catcher. Facing Jeremy Guthrie in the bottom of the 6th inning. Toronto leading by 2. It's 5-3. Guthrie is the ace of a very young staff. In fact, the Orioles have had 5 rookies make starts this year. 5 pitchers who made their major league debuts, and they're all so young. Chris Tillman, who we saw in the series, just 20 years of age on opening day. Brian Mattis made his big league debut this year. David Hernandez, Brad Bergeson, Jason Birkin. They've had to really stay in touch with the farm teams and bring up young pitchers over the course of the season. As Barajas hits this one playable in foul ground. There's Aubrey. He's got it. Barajas is gone with the first out. Once upon a time, you know, the rotation in Baltimore looks so promising with hard-throwing Daniel Cabrera and Adam Lowen, who's now an outfielder in the Blue Jays system. He was a top prospect before a stress fracture in his left arm ended his career as a pitcher. Of course, Eric Bedard was part of the rotation for a while until he was traded to Seattle. And so Guthrie's kind of the last man standing as Snider hits this one to the corner in left field. It's back there and gone. A home run for Travis Snider. He goes to the opposite field, and the Blue Jays now lead by 3. Well, you kind of had to expect a home run given up by Jeremy Guthrie because he tends to give them up frequently.
And a good look at the power of Travis Snider. Out over the plate, actually got under the ball just a little bit, but he's so strong, still able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Such as when power hitters hit one, even when they get under it just a little bit, it just seems to keep carrying.
(6-3) Toronto. Snider now with 9 home runs on the season. Here's Johnny Mack flying to center field. He's the second out. Thanks to Snider's home run, Sharp has awarded one lucky contestant a 40-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with LED backlight. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To see if you won, again, please go to that website, www.hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. Out in the Blue Jay pen, Josh Renicky has been warming. As Guthrie induces the ground ball from Bautista. Out he goes. And the inning ends after 6, 6-3 for the Blue Jays. Snider with a solo shot in the inning. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Days here in Toronto have been warm and humid, and yet on Sunday the Blue Jays, in conjunction with Home Hardware, are giving away 10,000 fleece blankets. Put them away and use them in October for sure. But these days we don't seem to need them in this area of Canada. Either way, join us for the last home game of the season. It's the fleece blanket giveaway on Sunday when the Blue Jays take on the Mariners at 1 o'clock local time. Josh Renicky has split this year with the Cincinnati Reds and the Blue Jays. He takes over from Casey Janssen in the 7th.
You know, Josh Renicky, a young man with a fine arm, has very, very good stuff, but just lacks command. 15 in the 3rd innings of work. He struck out 15, but he has also walked 11.
Cesar Iztura is a switch hitter, bats from the left side here as he takes a strike. Here's the second pitch, and there's strike 2. Left-handed hitters have been giving Renicky all kinds of trouble. They're batting .393. Oh, and 2. He kicks and fires. We were in the Tampa Bay clubhouse on Saturday, the visiting clubhouse, and many of the Blue Jays were glued to U.S. college football, none more so than Renicky, who used to play football for UCLA. Wasn't playing much, mind you, and that's one of the reasons why he chose to concentrate on baseball. Renicky makes his 12th appearance for the Jays. He was acquired at the deadline from Cincinnati in the Scott Rowland deal. Kicks on the 1-2 pitch. Tries to run it back in on Izturis, and it's 2-2. Matt Wieters is on deck for the Orioles. He homered last time up. And then Nick Markakis will see time at the plate in this inning as well. Grounded to second. Hill picks it off the turf, and there's one out. The young man at the plate clearly has raw power, and he proved that in the 5th inning. Hitting a ball off the ribbon board just inside the foul pole in right field. Home run number 8 on the year.
If you watch him, Jamie just looks very comfortable at the plate. There's not a lot of movement. It's very quiet. When he strides with that front foot, the right foot, everything stays behind it in great position to attack the baseball.
Three and nothing here on Wieters. Ball 4. Let's hear from Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, Josh Renicky had went 18 days without pitching going back about 2 weeks ago, and the Blue Jays were finally asked if there was something wrong with him, and he did say, yeah, there was some elbow tightness issues, and just looks to me as if he's laboring a little out there right now.
Well, he hasn't had a whole lot of work. Got into the game on Sunday in Tampa Bay. Had some trouble too. Went 2 innings, allowed 2 earned runs on 3 hits. That one sails high on Markakis, 1-0. He throws what he likes to call a cut slider. It's kind of a hybrid. You just got to look at it there, 1-1. He replaces Casey Jansen on the mound. Those two were teammates at UCLA. As Renicky deals the 1-1 inside. Three and one here. Of course, Renicky's dad, Gary, played with the Orioles for a long time and was the manager of the Montreal Royals in the brief existence of the Canadian Baseball League. I know Sam Cosentino knows that league well. 3-1. There's a strike. 3-2.
And this potentially could be the most important at bat in this ball game if Renicky can retire Markakis. That would mean he would face Scott on deck in a situation where he can't tie the ball game up. If he fails to retire Markakis,
goes to the slider and he gets him. Down goes Markakis. A big time strikeout there, and there are 2 away in the 7th inning.
And you got a good look at that pitch you were describing earlier, that cut slider, and a very good one. And of course, in a 3-2 fastball count, Markakis looking fastball and out in front and over the top of that hard breaking pitch from Renicky. But you didn't want to give the man at the plate a chance to tie the ball game up with one swing of the bat, because a lot of power, and he's hit 6 home runs this year against the Jays.
I believe on a few cut fastballs offered up by Roy Halladay, so you don't want to hang one of those on Luke Scott. Having a career season with the Orioles despite their woes in the standings. He's had 24 home runs. 1-1. Renicky hopes to follow up a solid 6th inning from Casey Jansen. Outside 2-1, and preserve a victory for Scott Richmond, who went 5 innings tonight against the Orioles, allowing 3 runs on 5 hits. Richmond is hoping to bump his record to 7-10. Here's the 2-1 pitch. And a good one. 2-2 now. Brandon League might be next in line. There he goes. Scott tried to check his swing, but failed to do so, and Renicky gets the strikeout, leaving 1. Bottom of the 7th coming up. Aaron Hill is your leadoff hitter. Blue Jays tonight have capitalized on some shoddy fielding and Jeremy Guthrie's 6 innings of work, scoring 6 times, hoping to offer up victory to Scott Richmond, who went 5 innings. And watches now from afar as Guthrie deals with the number 2 hitter, Aaron Hill. He'll be followed by Adam Lind and then Vernon Wells here in the bottom of the 7th inning. I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix, Sam Cosentino, and our Sportsnet.ca columnist and statistician Scott Carson. Hill grounds out. 1 gone in the 7th inning. Up steps Adam Lind, who is 1 for 3. .106 RBIs for Lind. That puts him 4th to start the day in the American League. Mark Teixeira in that 3-2 win over the Angels was unable to drive in a run and extend his lead. He's at the top of the order with 118. This is slashed down the line and foul. If you're going to hit over 300 and drive in a bunch of runs, as you see 2 up in the bullpen for the Orioles, you're going to strike out the odd time, and that is the case for Lind. He leads the Blue Jays with 107 strikeouts. You may have heard Mark Reynolds last night. Reynolds of the Arizona Diamondbacks set the all-time single-season strikeout record when he struck out for the 206th time. In fact, he's the only man in baseball history to strike out over 200 times, and he's done it twice. When asked about it, of course, Reynolds said, well, big deal. I've hit 43 home runs this year. He's driven in 100 runs, too. You think of some of the all-time great strikeout artists in Major League history, like Reggie Jackson. Well, Reggie Jackson's highest single total was in 1968. He struck out 171 times. Dave Kingman of the Mets in '82 struck out 156. Nowhere near really Reynolds' 200 level. Boy, that's a lot of Ks, Rance. As that is grounded down the line. But again, big deal, right? If you're going to drive in 100 runs and hit 40-plus home runs, big deal.
There's no question that most home run hitters, guys that have 40 to 50 type home run power and drive in a lot of runs, you have to sacrifice a little bit of something, and oftentimes that's some contact. And you're going to strike out when you're swinging to hit the ball out of the ballpark. But my goodness,
200,
over 200.
There's still about a week and change to play, too, so that number will probably rise. As Wells gets under this one and hits it in the air, left center field. PA makes the play, and Guthrie gets a 1-2-3 7th. 6-3 Toronto. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet.
Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
There's a look at the Rogers Center from outdoors. With the steam rising from the stadium. Observation deck from the CN Tower visible. And the roof tonight open for the Orioles and Blue Jays, game number 3. Toronto is hoping for a sweep. They're leading at 6-3 as we begin the 8th inning, and there's a new man on the mound as you look at the high socks of Brandon League. League got into the ball game last night. He replaced Jesse Carlson to start the 8th inning, and in fact gave up a leadoff double to Melvin Mora, but got out of it with a ground ball double play later on in the inning. As the batter now is a pinch hitter, Jeff Fiorentino.
When Brandon League has the feel of that split finger fastball, which was the last pitch. And you see it again, he is almost unhittable.
Well, he just wasted Fiorentino. Thanks for coming.
He throws it hard and late movement, and the bottom just falls out of it. That was Tom Hinkie, who threw hard and had great command. That was his strikeout out pitch. He had a great split finger fastball. And I would put Brandon League in the same category with Tom Hinkie's. You know, you were talking about strikeouts, but not all power hitters strike out. I'll give you a great example. In 1987, when George Bell hit 47 home runs and was the league MVP, he struck out 75 times.
75. Aubrey there grounds out. Just 75.
75 times.
For a guy who hit that many home runs, that's impressive.
That's very impressive. But George Bell, when he needed to, with 2 strikes and contact was necessary, he could cut down a little bit and put the ball in play.
He always looked like he had a long swing as you look at Ty Wigginton pinch hitting. But based on what you're saying, he did not.
No, George was, when he was in his prime, for me, there wasn't a quicker bat in the American League.
Here's a tapper over the hill. Backhanded by Hill. A long throw to first, but Wigginton's got enough speed to get there and beat it out. A for effort where Hill is concerned.
Great effort. But Wigginton, who runs fairly well, able to beat it out.
Well, Dave Tremblay is really clearing the bench now. He pinch hit for Turner, pinch hit for Moeller, and now does so for Andino. As Brian Roberts cracks a smile and steps in, hitting .287. As impressive are the 55 doubles from Roberts.
And Brian Roberts has an outside shot at establishing a new record for doubles in a single season by second baseman. You know who that record is held by?
Charlie Gehringer.
Charlie Gehringer, Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Established a long time ago too. 1936. He had 60 doubles with the Detroit Tigers. So here's Roberts 5 away. He's already tied Lance Berkman's record of 55 in 2001 for a switch hitter in a single year.
And of course, Charlie Gehringer did accomplish that, and they didn't play a 162 game schedule. Back in the day when they played 154. There's a look at since '74. Biggio, of course, had a Hall of Fame career.
3,000 hits.
Just not eligible yet.
Popped up, out of play. We were talking about strikeouts, and this one won't shock you. The highest single season total in Blue Jays history is 159, established by Jose Canseco in his 1 year, 1998. As League has a 2-2 count on the pinch hitter Roberts, hitting in the 9 spot. Got him. Down he goes. And that is a nasty pitch down and inside, inducing the swing from Roberts as the Blue Jays continue to lead the Orioles tonight on Sportsnet. It. As John Tavares, the #1 pick in the draft, makes his debut on Long Island. For the Islanders, they've been out in the western part of Canada. Exhibition play, the Sharks and Canucks on Sportsnet Pacific tonight, coming your way at 7 o'clock Pacific time. As here is the new second baseman, Brian Roberts. All kinds of changes for Dave Tremblay's Orioles. Nothing changes on the mound as Jeremy Guthrie continues to work into the 8th inning. Pitching to Encarnacion. There's a breaking ball as Guillermo Rodriguez hands off the ball to the umpire, Adrian Johnson. That's high, and it's 3-1.
Rodriguez has been around a long time, spent many years in the minor leagues. First came to the big leagues with the San Francisco Giants. He's a fine young man. He was in Shreveport in 2001. And I was the hitting coach there with the Giants AA affiliate.
There's Ty Wigginton. He takes over third. I remember Rodriguez because he'd been in pro baseball, as you say, for some time. He is now 31 years of age as you look at him there talking with Guthrie and Wigginton. And he made his big league debut, in fact, against the Jays. Picked up his first hit against Dustin McGowan in 07 at the ballpark in San Francisco. Dave Tremblay comes out now, and he's going to take Guthrie out of this game. Sean Henn, a left-hander, will come in and take his spot. And so with this pitching change, we'll take a break and return to the Rogers Center. Sean Henn. Dave Tremblay has used a ton of pitchers in this series. Henn takes the mound for the second time. He was up on Monday night. One of 6 relievers used that night. They needed another 6 in last night's 11th inning loss. On this occasion, though, Jeremy Guthrie goes deep into the ballgame, 7+ innings. Left-hander Henn on the mound to face Overbay. 0-2 on Overbay. He's got Encarnacion at first. Encarnacion was the first man to draw a walk against Guthrie tonight, and that's the last batter Guthrie sees. This is smacked to center field. PA runs back and makes the catch, and that sends Encarnacion back to first. Commentator clothing is provided in part by Z Zenya. Statistical information provided by Stats Inc. With 1 down, the Blue Jays bring up Rod Barajas. He is now 0 for his last 19.
Seems like there's no middle ground for Rod Barajas. He's either red hot or he is very cold.
He'd be on the cold end right about now, but nothing like a late game base hit to break out of it. Let's hope for the best here against Sean Henn. A win tonight for the Blue Jays, and they would match their victory output for the entire month of August. In fact, with 9 wins in September, they're already 1 ahead of July. And that was a bad month for the Blue Jays. They went 8-16. One ball and 1 strike.
Jamie, you touched on the overuse, if you will, of the Orioles bullpen. The last 11 games, 49 times has Dave Tremblay had to make that call to the pen. You look at the last 17 innings pitched, 15 earned runs allowed. So definitely an overworked group.
No question there. And everybody's had to assume a different role after the trade of George Sherrill to the Dodgers. As that is strike 2 on Barajas. Jim Johnson was the man who was handed the reins as the closer, but last night he blew his 3rd save in 9 attempts. The Jays won it in the 11th inning. Ball 4. There goes Barajas working his way down to first. The last Junior Jays Saturday is coming up. This coming Saturday, the Mariners provide the opposition a chance for the kids to run the bases for the last time. There'll be activities outside prior to the game. Good day to bring the kids down to the ballpark and see the Blue Jays for the final time. Here's Travis Snider, and that bounces away from Rodriguez. Both runners advance. Encarnacion to third, Barajas to second. So charge Henn with a wild pitch.
Looked like as if the ball hit the plate and took somewhat of a funny hop. technique by Rodriguez was very good, but unable to keep it in front of him.
That brings the infield in now with 2 in scoring position, and Snider drives it right up the middle for a base hit. Barajas is waved home and then stops past third.
That is because he missed third base. But a nice job of hitting by Snider, like a breaking ball, and he took it right back through the box hard in it. Good move on the part of Rod Barajas to shut it down when he realized he missed third base, because he would have scored easily. Right there with the left foot, he never touched the corner of the bag and wisely pulled up.
Tremblay makes yet another pitching change. And so it's time to see Clay Meredith again. 7-3 Toronto. Before in this series, Clay Meredith, part of a well-used, perhaps overtaxed bullpen. He checks Snider at first. Snider just drove home Encarnacion with the game's 7th run. Meredith is a sidewinder, as you see, and greets McDonald with ball 1. Seen a lot of by-the-book pitching changes in this series by manager Dave Tremblay.
Well, that's the way he chooses to run the ball game. Just try to play the percentages, and it hasn't worked out well for him.
McDonald tonight 1 for 3. He singled in a run in the 4th inning. That's bounced to third. Wigginton throws to the plate, and the ball arrives in time to get Barajas. Looked like a last-minute decision there from the third baseman Wigginton.
Initially, Wigginton wanted to go to second base, but realized at the last moment that they were not going to be able to turn the double play because of the high chop. Started to go to second and then changed his mind, and a nice play by Rodriguez, the catcher. It was a tough throw to handle and then try to apply the tag. But a good decision by Wigginton and a nice play at the plate by Rodriguez.
Heads up, Ranson, that he clearly knew who the base runner was, as Bautista is up there now, leading off for the Blue Jays. He's doubled and tripled in the ball game tonight.
And Brian Roberts might be the happiest guy in the ballpark right now, because Snider off of first base, who runs well, and the ball was in the air for a while to the third baseman, and the throw would have arrived at about the same time Snider would have been going into second base. So
old lunchbox up there at second base. He can pack a wallop sliding into second. 2-1 on Bautista. Rounds it to short. And there is Roberts getting to the bag in time for the fourth. The inning comes to an end, and the Blue Jays add one more. It's 7-3 Toronto. The Whopper. And we hand it to Matt Wieters for this majestic shot in the fifth inning. That one almost landed on the moon, for goodness sakes. A solo drive in what is now a 7-3 deficit for the Baltimore Orioles. They are 3 outs away from getting swept by the Blue Jays. Visit BlueJays.com to register for a chance to win prizes with the Burger King Superfan Contest. Hey, maybe one day that little gaffer will be a super fan. He's up awfully late for what could be his first ever big league game. Watching Jason Frazier now. Well, Scott Richmond went 5 innings tonight and is in line right now for his 7th win of the year, and the bullpen has been excellent behind him. Felix Piet fouls it away here. Casey Janssen went an inning. Did not allow a runner. Excuse me, he gave up 1 base runner on a fielding error by Encarnacion. Josh Renicky struck out 2 in his inning of work. Did not allow a hit. Brandon Lee gave up a single hit and struck out 2. So they have been rock solid for Richmond tonight, and now it's Jason Frazier's turn. A new team comes into the Rogers Center tomorrow night to begin a 4-game series, the last series here in Toronto. And the Mariners provide the opposition. 7 Eastern time, 4 Pacific. We'll have Ricky Romero against Felix Hernandez. 2-1 is the count on PA. Hernandez with 16 victories this year, a very good 2.45 ERA. As that's a strike from Frazier, and of course his name will be thrown about as a possible Cy Young Award winner, but the way things are going, Rance, for my money, Zach Greinke, even though he plays for a non-playoff team. In fact, a terrible Kansas City team. His numbers have been sensational. Beat the Red Sox again last night. 15th win of the year for Greinke. As this is rolled to short, McDonald slings to first, one away. Greinke's ERA now down to 2.08, and for a team like that, pitching as well as he has this year, it's hard to overlook that kind of pitching.
I'm sure he's going to get a lot of consideration.
As Cesar Astura steps in, they often, hand the award to the starting pitcher with the most wins, or the pitcher that is part of a playoff-bound team. I understand that. But that young man in Kansas City has been spectacular all year.
They most certainly would need to factor in, complete games, innings pitched, hits allowed compared to the number of innings pitched. So there's a lot of things that have to factor in when you're starting to decide, for those who have a vote, on who the eventual winner of the Cy Young will be.
The 1-1. Line to right. Bautista's got it. 2 gone. Matt Wieters is called to the batter's box. It has been a long, long time since the Blue Jays swept a series. You have to go back to the 18th of June when they went into Philadelphia and took 3 from the defending World Series champions. They walked out of that series, made their way to Washington, and at the time were in 3rd place in the American League East, 4 games back. Here and out away. 2 strikes, in fact, from a sweep of the Orioles. 2 strikes now on Wieters. Here's Fraser hoping to lock down a win for Scott Richmond tonight and give the Blue Jays their 69th win of the year. He's got Wieters 0-2. Here's the pitch outside. Wieters checks his swing. The Blue Jays offense has been spread out quite nicely tonight. Bautista had an RBI. Hill drove in a run. Encarnacion with an RBI. John McDonald, Travis Snider had 2. Lyle Overbay with an RBI double. 7 runs scored against Jeremy Guthrie and 2 relievers. The 2-2 pitch, and it's now 3-2. I dare say the last time the Blue Jays swept a series here at home, it was that 4-gamer, the high water mark of the season against the Chicago White Sox on May 18th. They left that series in first place by 3.5 games. Grounded to second. This will do it. Hill has it, and the game is over. The Blue Jays sweep away the Orioles in 3 as Scott Richmond picks up a victory, and it was a long time coming. We'll be back to wrap it from the Rogers Center after this.